So guys, Marty Dodson, 6 number ones, hit songwriter. Man, just your career has been pretty incredible.
It's been fun.
Yeah, man. When did you move to Nashville?
I actually grew up in Nashville.
He's a unicorn.
So I've been in Nashville since I was 5. So
wow,
a long time.
Man, yeah. I'll never forget. So I've been in Nashville for a little over a decade and writing songs every day. And I used to look up, before I'd go into write, I would look up who I was writing with and what songs they had written. And this was the first time I ever wrote with you. I was still doing that practice, which I don't do anymore because it gets me super nervous and then I just psych myself out, like mentally. And so now I just ignorantly walk into rooms. Yeah. But I did that with Marty for the first time and I just saw like, oh, he wrote that number one. Oh, that's really cool. Then I look down at the next one and I'd be like, oh, he wrote that. Oh, no way, he wrote that. And it's like all of these songs that are just some of my favorite songs that I grew up on.
Oh, thank you.
Must Be Doing Something Right. Everybody Wants to Go to Heaven. I mean, those songs literally kind of shaped the soundtrack of, you know, a big part of my life. And to go into the room and then write with you, I just remember being so intimidated. And then you walk into a room with Marty, and he's like the most calm presence and very, just very kind, no ego whatsoever. And you walk into the room and he instantly just puts you to ease. And then you just write a song.
Yeah.
And typically you write a song in like an hour or two with Marty because the lyrics just fall out of his mouth. It's the craziest thing. But I would love to hear just the story behind Everybody Wants to Go to Heaven, man. Like, awesome. How did that come about? And one thing that I really appreciate about that song as a songwriter is it's very simple. Like, as a songwriter, he knows that that's not a dig. Like, that's one of the biggest compliments you can give because writing simple lyrics and everything being very simple and digestible is the hardest thing. It's what we try to do every day as songwriters. Yeah. And that song just makes you feel something, you know?
Yeah, it's. I love it when someone comes up and says, you know, that song's so simple, I could have written it. You know, to me, that's a compliment. And I always say, well, you should have. You know, yeah. You did really well. But yeah, that's the day Jim Collins and I wrote that song. And I have a database in which I keep all my song ideas. Okay. So like if I'm writing with you, you know, if I have an idea, I think this would be great for Ryan, I put your name by it so I can search my database and find all the ideas I wanted to write with you when I'm writing.
Yeah,
so,
that's brilliant.
And I also categorize them different ways. So I walked in with Jim this day and I said, what do you want to write? And he said, let's write something with a reggae feel. And I thought, man, I had an idea. I can't remember what it was. So I went to my database and I searched for reggae and I had one idea and it was Everybody Wants to Go to Heaven. Yes. So I always credit my database for that number one because I don't think I would have remembered that idea.
Your organizational skills.
It helps, you know.
Yeah.
As a songwriter, I'm very scattered, but then that one instance, my organization helped. So I threw that title out, and he loved it, and we wrote it pretty quickly, like you said. And then Jim was great.
Wait, how long? Was it like 45 minutes, or was it 2 hours?
No, it was a couple hours, yeah. And then Jim is a great rewriter. He loves to rework things before we demo. So we were going to demo it, and he called and said, can we get back together on that? Because we had not put the bridge in there, and we felt like the bridge kind of made the guy seem a little cooler in that he wasn't just like saying, I don't want to go to heaven. So the bridge like clarifies it. I want to go, I just don't want to go right now. So we added that bridge, and then we also had not changed the chorus. So every chorus said, have a mansion high above the clouds. And we thought, it gets a little boring. So we changed those, added those different ones. And then we demoed it, and we pitched it. George Strait cut it pretty quickly.
What?
Yeah, he cut it pretty quickly.
See, the story is that you never hear. Like, that's incredible. I didn't know that. George Strait's one of my...
Oh, yeah, me too.
I'm scared to meet him because he's it for me.
Well, the day that I found out George Strait cut it, I'm a horrible fisherman, but I was in Florida with my son in Panama City.
Nice.
And he wanted to go fishing on the pier. So we had gone on this fishing trip. I'll make the story short, but we'd gone fishing, and I stopped in the bait shop and said, what are the fish biting on? Because I'm an idiot. I don't know what. And they said, well, there's this bubble rig. You fill it halfway with water, and the bait is like a McDonald's straw on a treble hook. And I thought, they know I'm an idiot.
they're screwing with me. Yeah.
So, I had no better idea. So I bought these two things, and we went out there and like instantaneously caught big bluefish.
Wow.
And in 2 hours, we caught 120 fish. I mean, we were just like tearing it up. People were trying to come steal our spot, and it wasn't working.
120 fish?
120 fish.
I grew up in the Keys, and I don't think I've caught that many fish in my entire life.
Yeah, it was crazy. So we're walking down the pier, the sun's setting. My son thinks I'm a genius for one time. And I get a phone call that George Strait has cut this song. And I'm like, that's the perfect day. You know?
This day can't get any better.
No, it can't. And so about 2 months later, they tell us that George decided not to put it on his record. Oh. And so I was devastated, but I had my beautiful day. And so then we were pitching the song. They told us he wasn't going to use it, so we were pitching the song. It was on hold for a band called Halfway to Hazard or something like that, I think.
I remember them.
And so Kenny called and said, hey, George played me this song on his bus, and then I noticed it wasn't on his record. Is it available? And we're like, hang on a minute. so we called Halfway to Hazard, and they're like, we think we're kind of cooling off on it. We think we're going to pass. And I'm like, yes!
That's amazing.
We called Kenny back, and he cut it and went #1. And actually, I think you can still find George Strait's version of it. He put it out on iTunes just as a, just put it out.
Yeah.
So I think you can hear his version on iTunes as well.
It's incredible. The journey of a song and just how it ends up finding the home, hitting the ears of the artist, hitting them at the right time. I mean, George Strait cutting it, then playing it on George's bus. Kenny happens to be playing at the same festival or whatever it was. Says, you need to cut this. Yeah. Loves it. I mean, it's just
I always say George Strait's my favorite song plugger. He got me that cut.
That's good.
Yeah, if he had not played Kenny that song, we had pitched that song to everybody related to Kenny, like 3, I think, producers, label, everybody had passed on it like 3 times.
Yep.
But George played it, and he loved it and remembered it. So.
And George playing it for you, saying, like, you need to cut this song.
Oh, no, he didn't say that, but he just played him his record.
Oh, he just played him his record.
And when the record came out, Kenny noticed that song wasn't on there.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Dude, that's incredible.
Yeah.
So cool. Well, thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
And cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers to songwriting and the crazy journey that a song takes.
Yeah.
You never know.
You never do.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah. I'm sure every #1 that you've had and every cut, I mean, how many cuts have you had? Hundreds?
130.
130 cuts. And 6 #1s, I'm sure each one has its own special story,
Yeah, most of them do.
It's pretty insane. Yeah. But anyways, y'all, Marty Dodson, thank you so much for taking the time, buddy.
Yeah.
I appreciate you.
Thank y'all for listening.
Cheers. Cheers, guys.